So we spent more than an hour talking to Charles Walker recently at Mansfield Correctional Institution. Now, Charles was convicted of killing 2 boys back in 2022, and he's appealing that conviction. Now, during this interview, his attorney was in the room, but he did not prevent us from telling or asking any question. He did not intervene until the very end of this interview, where we asked Charles, is there anything that you want to clarify? And he briefly consulted with him. But otherwise, we were allowed to ask any questions, and we were not stopped. And this interview was more than an hour long, and we are providing it all for you, unedited. So you're actually in Lebanon whenever I went to talk to Brent, and after we did that interview, you were moved. I mean, what they tell you?
They actually didn't tell me nothing. They just rolled me out. They said they didn't have nothing written on there while I was moving. They just said they knew I was moving. Yeah. They moved me out, I believe 3 days after Friday. You came Tuesday. I was gone by Friday morning. So I just came up here to.
Yeah. Did you and Brent ever even really hang out?
I mean, we would go to the law library together and work on the appeal and stuff, and just try to find any type of little things and stuff we can for the appeal to help us with the case, and anything we can come put our heads together and try to work on the appeal together. So
let's talk about late 2022. Just tell me what you're up to in your life at that point.
22. I'm not doing much. I work a lot. I do construction, like odd jobs, like I do roofing, siding, gutters, drywall, remodeling. It's whatever comes up, depending on what time of the season it is. If it's summertime, I normally do mainly roofing and some gutters. And when it gets cold out, I more hit the drywall, indoor stuff. Like I do sell a little bit of weed and stuff like that, but I'm not no major drug dealer. So the people that could work with me and stuff.
Were you working for Brent?
No, I never worked for Brent.
So were you selling weed for him?
No.
Not really, not at all?
No, like I got weed from him and stuff, but I ain't never sell weeds for him. Like, he would have weed and I would go grab weed because I smoke too. I'd grab weed, and then I have people that I work with, I would sell weed to them, because anybody who knows anything about construction knows that everybody in construction does something.
Yeah. So how did you know Brent?
I knew Brent when I was a kid, but Brent's a couple years older than me. But me and Brent really ain't start hanging out and really building a relationship till I was about 30 and stuff. That's when I got to renting his house over on Chase Street, and me and my girl and my son, we moved in there, and that's when we started to build our relationship as far as life. Like, we always knew each other. He seen me when I was younger and stuff like that, but obviously he's like 7 years older than me, so he never really kicked it with me till I really got about 30. That's when we built a relationship in life.
I think some people have an impression that, and somebody actually called me up, and apparently with inside information on this, but they had the impression that, look, Brent was a guy that had the money, and he needed someone around him who was kind of the muscle, so to speak. Were you the muscle for Brent?
I'm not no muscle for anybody. I work every day. Like, me and my girl work to pay the bills. I hustle a little bit on the side, but yeah, if I didn't work, I wouldn't be able to pay my bills. I'm no type of muscle. I don't have time for that stuff.
So did you have a child?
Yes.
You did? Like, how old was the child? And you don't have to tell me boy or whatever, but how old was the child at that point?
My son, he was 2 years old.
2 years old?
About ready to be 3. Almost.
Yeah. So I think it's either October or November, you and Brent were down in Florida, and I'm guessing your motion sensor went off, at your house. Brent's security alarm went off. guys got, I'm not sure which one happened first,
Yeah.
but tell me what happened there.
We went to the Orlando Classic in Florida. We go every year. It was about nighttime. Brent got a notification for his alarm going off on his house over on Patriot, and he called over there. I believe his girl's son was over there at the time, and they said the window was broken. So the alarm company called him and said, and he told them to send the cops over there. The cops got over there. They went through the house. They did whatever they did over there. I believe they confiscated a couple of things from over there. And then as all of this was happening while the cops was over there, a notification goes off on my phone. I'm like, I just look at my phone. I see Brent's nephew. He's over there at my house breaking a window out. And I'm like, man, so I call my girl. And like, she answered, she's like, the dog's going crazy. I'm like, yeah, somebody just broke a window out on the side of the house. I'm like, it's Memphis, I can tell. So she opens up the door. You can see Memphis, Amir, and I know his name is Vato Loco. I forget what his real name is. And you can see them on the camera. They all just run off as soon as the light goes off. My dog's going crazy. My dog's trying to jump out the window. We had to shut him out the room and stuff. So now, we call over my uncle. He stays like 3 houses down. He came and boarded the house up. They all came over there. I know it was just a broken window. The house got boarded up. The window got boarded up. And, we stayed in Florida that happened on a Friday. We didn't come home till Monday. Like the incident that happened wasn't no serious incident in my mind, where I was just like, we're gonna enjoy our weekend up here, go home, and I guess we'll just replace the windows. So I didn't really see nothing as a big issue. Like Memphis was known for doing stuff like that, like always trying to steal from Brent. Brent's always, Brent takes care of him and all that stuff, and he's always trying to just steal from his whole family, Brent's mom, everybody. He was a little menace, and it was just another typical thing that he did.
How many cameras did you have on your house?
I got 10 cameras on my house.
You had 10 cameras, so you clearly saw that this was Brent's nephew and his 2 friends. You had no doubt that this is who it was.
We knew who it was. Like Memphis' mom called and told us it was them. Talking about they're running around, doing all this stuff. They know y'all's in Florida. We already seen them on camera. It already all happened. And so we knew exactly who it was before we even got home.
So somebody mentioned to me that there is somebody with you. There must have been other people with you down in Florida, and they heard you say, "I'm going to kill him."
Nah.
Did you threaten Memphis at all?
Nah. I mean, I'm not mad over a broken window. I'm mad at the situation. I'm more disappointed in them than anything as far as anger and you gotta die over a broken window. That just sounds stupid. I'm more upset at the fact of I don't see why you'd have to even think you could steal from us. We give you everything if you ask for it.
So let me ask you this. Kamarian and KyShawn were not there. They were not part of the break-in at your house.
No, they had nothing to do with any of that situation. KyShawn, he had nothing to do with that situation. And KP, I don't even know KP. So I don't even know how KP's even involved in anything other than him being involved with Corbin and Cruz. I have no connections to him in no way whatsoever.
So I was going to ask you how you knew Kamarian and KyShawn, and you're saying you didn't know Kamarian at all.
Yeah, KP, never met him ever. Sean, he was always around the neighborhood. He would always help with cutting grass. He painted the fence. I know he would help Brent with stuff whenever Brent needed stuff. He was always over at Brent's mom's house. I done dropped him off over at his house over on Ohio with Mackay before. I remember he had a job at McDonald's. It was him and Memphis had a job at McDonald's. I remember I took them up there a couple times when they was working there. I think they worked there for like 2 weeks, got a paycheck, and never went back in. I think they just.
But you didn't have any angry feelings toward KyShawn for any reason?
No angry feelings towards KyShawn, Memphis towards it, other than, you know, saying like, you know, Memphis just stay away from the house and stuff, you know, because you're just doing too much at this point in life. But other than KyShawn, I don't even know where he even comes into the picture as far as them trying to implicate that, oh, this had something to do with KyShawn. He never had nothing to do with anything. As far as I know, KyShawn wasn't running around breaking into anyone's houses. Like,
but Kamarian maybe was.
KP, I don't know him. I don't know what, other than the discovery and what I read in Discovery of what he did with Corbin and that, I don't know his life at all.
Yeah. So let's talk about December 3rd. You know, that was the night where the kid disappeared and were likely killed. What were you doing on December 3rd?
December 3rd, I remember that day because it was the Big Ten championship. Purdue was playing Michigan. I remember I took all bets against Michigan. I betted a handful of people. I know I betted Brent, he's a Michigan fan. I betted him. I betted a couple of my dudes. I think I even betted Cruz on that. I think he took Michigan too. I know because people was calling me, talking a whole bunch of shit, like, because Michigan was just beating them so bad at halftime. And I was just like, yeah, I'm like, I see. I'm like, there's still a whole half left. And then I know I ended up going downtown to Table 44. I got a couple friends down there who works at Table 44. We went down there and stuff, and I kicked it down there for probably about an hour or two. I don't remember the exact time. Then I know I ended up going home after that, probably around like 12, because I remember my one dude was calling me. I went and met him real quick, and he brought a little bit of weed off me, and then I ended up going to sleep for the night. I remember the next day I woke up, I remember I was riding around, paid everybody who, you know, I lost to for that game, and then I can't say what really happened after that day. I didn't really, just a typical day of running around. I didn't really have nothing special that, you know, dire. Like, obviously, you know, that this case went on, and when I think of it, I'm just like, I didn't do anything to try to hide nothing. Like, I wasn't running around trying to delete stuff off my phones. I wasn't doing anything. Like, I was just having a normal day. I know I had my son that day. Like, if I don't have my son, I know my mom normally watches him, and like, it was a typical day for me. Like,
so at kickoff at 8 o'clock, you were at home, and then you went to table?
No, I wasn't at home at first. When the game kicked off, I was over at one of my friend's house over around Sylvania and like Jackman area. Like, and I know we was watching the kickoff of the game stuff because I had a bet with him. He was a Michigan fan too, and I watched part of the game over there. And that's when I think my buddy got a hold of me and said he was up at work and stuff. And that's when I shot home, got dressed, and went over to Table 44. And that's why I was over there for probably an hour or two.
So, I mean, there were obviously people with you. Did they ever come forward to police and say, hey, look, I mean, he was with us?
Well, when it first happened, there was a lot of controversy going on with trying to hire private investigators, because the one private investigator that we went to go hire, he was like friends with the detective and stuff like that. And he did some stuff on another case that we helped the detectives, and we couldn't find an investigator to do everything. And my lawyer at that time, I'm not gonna say, you know, he wasn't the best of remembering stuff. He was a little older and stuff, and I know there's a lot of stuff I told him, and he didn't do everything. And then it came down to the point where it was just like, I can't get a hold of these people. I'm in jail. I'm trying to do the best I can and stuff. Like, they took my phone privileges away while I was in jail and stuff. I couldn't even call home. I couldn't even try to, it's like they did every single thing they could to try to keep me from even building a case for myself, to even defend myself. So it was just hard for me to get a hold of anybody, let alone.
Were you with Brent at all on December 3rd?
At night, no. I probably seen him during the daytime, but me and Brent doesn't like ride around together really. Like he'll be in the house next door sometimes and stuff, and I'll stop over there, smoke with him and stuff. And other than that, just maybe talk about something that we need to do around the yard, or if he's going out on the boat or something, you know, I like going out on his boat with him and stuff. I always have a good time with that. And or any event that's coming up, like if I can afford to go on it, I'll go on it with him.
So at no point on the night of December 3rd did you ever take Brent Kohlhofer over to Maumee Avenue?
Brent goes home early. If I remember correctly, Brent left the house around like 9, 10 o'clock. Like I don't even believe I even seen Brent before I even went to table 44. I don't think I even seen his car there. I think he was already gone by the time I was already leaving. Like he leaves early every single night. Like that's just his typical thing. He's up every morning early. He's normally a early go in and go to sleep.
So how many houses away is your house from Brent's like stash house?
My house, and then there's a field, then there's Brent's house right there. Then next to that, it's my uncle's house, and then it's his mom's house. Like so, it's a field away and stuff.
So since you have 10 cameras on your house, did they capture you leaving that night and coming back?
My camera sees everything. My camera, I can't sneak out of my house if I wanted to without my camera seeing anything going on.
And you never gave that to your attorney, or?
I told my attorney about it. The detectives had my cameras. Like they never put it into evidence. I don't know why they didn't do that. They never put my cameras into evidence. My cameras stay saved for 90 days storage. Like after every 90 days, they delete their stuff and stuff. I had bling, and after 90 days, it would delete itself. And when the cops took my phone, they had all that stuff. They had every single thing. Like they had the camera footage from the day that the window got broken. Like they had all that stuff, and I'm about positive they looked at all that stuff. Like, but why it wasn't placed in the evidence, I couldn't tell you.
So they had the video that showed that it was Brent's nephew and his nephew's two friends.
Yeah, the detectives had that. They had my phone. They had that 100%.
And they would have been able to clearly see that this was not Kamarian and KyShawn.
Clear as day.
But you just don't know what happened to this and why they didn't.
By the time we got our discovery, and all the discovery, it had like labels of, you know, videos, like of this and this, but it didn't have addresses on it. So off rip, we just thinking like, well, you know, my camera footage is going to be in this video. They have my camera footage, so we're going to have our camera footage in videos. Like when we got our motion, probably for the camera stuff, probably like 6, 7 months later, like they didn't have my camera footage, and that's when I got to asking my lawyer. I'm like, where's my camera footage at? I'm like, and my camera footage would show me my comings and goings, like every single thing, like, you know, everything they try to implicate me from doing and stuff. My camera footage would literally show every single thing I did. If I stepped out of the house, if I left the house, if I was in the backyard, if I was on the side of the house, like, but they never put it in. And like, I kept asking my lawyer about it. That's one of the main things I even talk about now is, like, I just never understood how my camera footage was never put into evidence. My camera footage would completely show I had nothing to do with this. It would show my step by step, day by day.
Why did you have so many cameras on your house?
Because they come in bundle deals. Like if you buy one camera, it's the price of buying 5. So I only really needed like 6, but instead I had to buy a pack of 5 and 5. So I just put all 10 up.
Yeah. What was your relationship with Cruz Garcia and Corbin Gingrich? How did you know them?
I don't know anybody over. I don't know Corbin at all. I never met him a day in my life. Never met any of them other people on the case at all. Like Cruz, I know Cruz because he comes over to Chase Street and he does business with Brent. But other than that, I don't associate with Cruz. Like I went out with him maybe a couple times. May have May have been, I remember I went to his house on his birthday, and I may have stopped at his house like once or twice after that. Like, but other than that, like, I didn't associate with Cruz like that. I wouldn't call us associates. I would see him on Chase Street. We would smoke sometimes, and that's really about our relationship.
So he wasn't a friend, you just kind of knew him from the neighborhood, kind of?
I just knew him from coming over there and doing deals with Brent. Like, I would consider him more Brent's associate than mine.
Mm-hmm. At some point, Brent texted Cruz Garcia and said, "I'm gonna send bro," that night. Were you bro?
No, I wasn't bro. Like, I seen the text message and the discovery, but I don't. Bro was probably one of the dude he always used to have over there. He always had his little dude from Detroit up over there. He'd have one of his other little friends up over there. They always stay over there during the night sometimes. I'd come over there, and it was just a little flop house and stuff. Like, there was always a key on the porch in case, saying we need to use the house or something like that,
Yeah.
None of us was the most faithful people in the world as far as relationship-wise, so it was a perfect spot to go to if we was doing something.
Yeah. So I'm going to ask you this again. So after table 44, you did not drive Brent Kohlhofer over to Maumee Avenue?
No, I never even been to Maumee Avenue.
Kamarian and KyShawn were never walked out to your vehicle?
Never was I walked out to my vehicle, put into my trunk, and the story that Cruz says is that they was beaten and bloodied in the basement, obviously from their statements and all that stuff, and they had to stop the bleeding. Cruz had to clean the gun up because blood was all over it. He had Carissa do it, and then he said when they came out to us, he said we beat him and then tossed him in the trunk of my car, which, they searched my car 3 times, 3 different separate search warrants of my car. They sprayed I think it was called All-Star, to see if the blood comes up. There was never a speck of blood. Never was my car altered, as if they said it was never cleaned or ever was it tried to be cleaned up. And they found no DNA of KyShawn in the trunk of my car. They took my back seat completely out. They found no evidence of whatsoever, but it's hard to believe that you toss 2, pretty much grown teenagers into the trunk of a car, and as if the story that happened over on Maumee Street is that, they was bleeding a lot. Like, I don't understand how a drop of blood, a drop of nothing, or any single thing ended up in my car. Like, it just seems hard to believe. And then we drove them from Maumee Street over to Chase Street, and all that, every single thing that from there to there, like, nothing happened. Like the trunk of my car, you can pull a little glow in the dark thing, and my trunk pops right open. Like, so it's just hard to believe that the story that Cruz and them tells even sounds believable to anyone.
So that's the story, that they lured these kids over to Maumee. Cruz and Corbin beat them, and then they walked them out to you. But maybe there's another story. Did you kill Kamarian?
No.
Did you kill KyShawn Pittman?
No.
Did you have any reason to?
None whatsoever. Like, that's the...
So when you talk about this story, and I noticed you smiling a little bit, talking about they found them on Chase Street, why does that seem so unbelievable to you that they found the kids over on Chase Street, right next to where you lived, essentially?
It's dead across the street from my house. Like, that makes no sense to me. Why would I go grab 2 kids from the south side of Toledo, bring them all the way to the north side of Toledo, to put them dead across the street from my house? There's probably, 10,000 abandoned houses in Toledo, and I chose the one dead across the street from my house. Like, that don't make sense to me.
Now, did your security cameras capture anything from that night? Like, when...
I never had no reason ever to look at my security camera and look at anything from any of them nights. It never ran through my mind of, hey, let me check my cameras and see if something happened on the third, fourth, or the fifth. Like, it just never ran through my mind. Like, it just seemed like a typical fire over in the neighborhood. Like, you know, I don't live in the best part of Toledo, you know, like it's not uncommon for people to catch houses on fire, a lot of drugs going on, you know, drug addicts in houses, abandoned houses. So like, I didn't never think of looking at my camera footage. You know, then the day I got arrested, like, I thought it was a drug raid. I never thought it was anything to do with, nothing to do with murders or none of that stuff. Like, I literally walked right out to the cops and just was like, all right, you know, they arrested us, took us down. Then we ended up finding out we was arrested for murder. And I was like, this ain't adding up. And, you know, obviously, you know, we're at where we're at now and stuff. But as far as looking at my cameras, I never looked at them.
Now, you said you thought it was a drug raid, and you told me earlier in the interview that, hey, I kind of smoked weed and I bought some from Brent. Why would they be raiding your house for drugs?
Because it's in the houses over there and stuff. You know, Brent's house is known for that. And, you know, saying I do step over there often throughout the day and stuff and smoke with them because, you know, I get to smoke for free when I go over there. So, you know, it's convenient for me to go over there. I get to smoke for free. And, you know, I just walk right back home after I'm done smoking and relax.
Because I know in the past, obviously, you got in trouble for some drug trafficking charges and stuff, but at that point, you weren't selling drugs.
I mean, I wasn't selling like
Other
hardcore drugs. Like, I sold weed, like, to just a handful of people. Like,
so what did you know about the house where the boys were found? I mean, did you know who lived there? And
I mean, I personally didn't know much about the house. I remember that Aaron used to live there a couple of years back and stuff because I know he had the kids and stuff over there, and they always run around the neighborhood. I used to always see his kids, and I know he'd always be over there with his biker friends and stuff. And other than that, like, I didn't associate with him at all. Like,
is he the motorcycle club guy?
I believe he's in a motorcycle club. Like,
so you said you had nothing to do with their murders. Do you know who killed them?
I had to take a guess. I would say it was Cruz and Corbin. I mean, all the evidence shows that they lured them over there, Ubered a ride to them, got them over there to confront them about the gun and the drugs that they took from Corbin. And I guess somebody robbed Cruz's mom and put a gun to her head and took some stuff from him. Like, so that would seem like a whole lot of motive for them to get him over there. Because if you look at the evidence, and the evidence clearly shows that they went out of their way to get him over to that house.
Yeah.
And, you know, they admitted to every single thing they did. Like, not only did the coroner say exactly what they said as far as what was done to them damage-wise, it happened identical how Corbin and them said they hit him on the head. It was the same way. In the autopsy, there was nothing extra, none of that stuff. And
right. At any point, did you try to clean your car? So you didn't?
I never had no point. Clean my car for what reason?
At no point did you even know you were a suspect until they showed up.
They came and, 'cause I remember they came, the day they came and took my car, like, I was in the house, I was sleeping. I remember my mom was over there watching the baby. I went upstairs and took a nap real quick, and my mom was like, hey, the cops are out, they're out there trying to, she didn't even say the cops, she's like, they're trying to tow your car. I'm like, trying to tow my car? So I go out there, and like a whole bunch of SWAT people came up and was like, oh, let's step away. And all that. I'm just like, what are y'all doing? Talking about, we're taking this car in. I'm like, for what? Talking about like, oh yeah, you ain't like, you ain't got to worry about that. You know what I'm saying? Like, call down there and like somebody get a hold of you. I'm just like, what? I'm like, well, here, y'all ain't got to do all that. I gave them the keys to my car. I'm like, take it down there. I'm like, figure I was just going to have to go get it out of impound or something. I really ain't know what was going on. So at that point, I called 911. Like, I was just like, yeah, you know, my car is being took right now and being stolen. And they was like, by who? I'm like, by y'all. Like, y'all taking it. I don't know why. And like, they was like, oh, well, let me transfer you to somebody. They transferred me to the detective on her case, Mark Shot. And like, I talked to him. I'm like, yeah, my car's being taken. He's like, yeah, you know. It's like, right now your car's being taken for investigation. I'm like, investigation for what? he's talking about, he's like, right now it's an ongoing investigation, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'll let you know furthermore what's going on. I'm like, well, what can I come get my car? You know what I'm saying? I'm like, you know, this is actually my vehicle that I use. And he's talking about, well, I'll let you know and stuff once the investigation's over with. So I called him probably about 3-4 more times after that, and he was just wasn't, he was just saying I was still waiting on them to do whatever they was supposed to do, and that's all he ever kept telling me. Obviously, until we got arrested, probably about 3 weeks after that, I want to say.
Well, let me ask you before we get to that. At trial, they kind of made a point of, hey, Charles, he like left Chase Street. He went to a hotel, then he went to another hotel. Why? Of course he did that, because he was guilty and he wanted to get out of the neighborhood. Why did you leave Chase Street?
During the times where they was digging up the house over there on Chase Street, they had the road blocked from road to road. Like, when we was trying to, every time we would try to go home, every time we tried to do something, they was thinking we were spectators, and the cops was like, oh, hold on, there's a crime scene over here and stuff like that, was stopping people. We had to like, man, I live right here, and talking about all this. And so it was just such a headache. I was just like, you know what, we're gonna grab a hotel for a couple of days so they're done with whatever they're done doing over there. And then we grabbed the hotel, and then I think it was like the next day we found out that, you know what I'm saying, they found the bodies over there. I'm like, man, that's crazy. So then once the hotel time was up, we went to go back home. They was having a candlelight visual. And during that candlelight visual, same thing, the cops had both the roads blocked off and stuff, and I believe they was like shooting a music video there or something like that at the candlelight visual. And that candlelight visual lasted for 2 days. So I grabbed the hotel again for another 2 days, just like, all right, you know, we'll just wait till this is done. And so once that 2 days of that hotel, it was coming up to Christmas time. So my baby mom, she wanted to get a hotel with a swimming pool and a little jacuzzi and the thing for the baby for the holidays. So I'm like, all right. So we grabbed the hotel, I think, for another day for Christmas, and then the day after Christmas, yeah. I mean, when we was at the hotel, we opened up presents. We had matching pajamas, all that stuff. Like, you know, like we went live and stuff and opened up presents. The baby was opening up presents. She got me a gift. I got her some gifts, and you know, we just spent Christmas together there and stuff. Like, we had a Christmas party coming up like a week later, and then we went home the next day. Like, we was at home 10 days before I got arrested. That's not going on the run. What? Like, hiding from what? Like, it's literally just inconvenience for a handful of days because of what was going on over there. So it's just like, you know, just get a hotel.
So, I mean, talk about that. So about 10 days later, you get arrested. I'm guessing they show up with SWAT again and come knocking on your door.
FBI came and raided us, and like, we was actually across the street at first, and then we was actually getting ready to smoke with my uncle, I believe, and we was over there, and we got a call talking about, hey, cops are out here about to raid the house. I'm like, raid what house? Talking about, looks like your house. I'm like, for what? So I'm like, all right. So when they were sitting there, then they go to Brent's house too. I'm like, oh man, I'm like, they're probably doing a drug raid right now. And I'm like, well, let's go out there. I'm like, ain't nothing to do, ain't like we got anything over here like that. So we went out there. They were like, there they are. And like, they stopped us. They told us to put our hands on our head and all that stuff. And you know, they cuffed us. They didn't tell us what we was being arrested for or nothing. And they searched the house. They searched our cars. They brought, I think I had like an ounce or two of weed over at my house and stuff. Just some stuff that I smoked. They brought that out, put that in evidence and stuff like that. That's the only thing they got from my house. And I don't think Brent had too much stuff over there. Some edibles, a handful of stuff what he was probably gonna sell throughout the day. But other than that, like, we were just like, oh, it's just a typical drug raid. That's what I was thinking. Then when we get down there, that's when we found out we was charged with murder. And I was like, and you know, like, obviously we're at where we're at now.
Yeah, and obviously in this case, everybody talked to the cops. I mean, Cruz and Corbin and Don Eames and Carissa and everybody talked to the cops, and they changed their stories repeatedly in this case. Now, the two people who did not talk to the cops were you and Brent. Why didn't you talk to them? Why didn't you just say, look, I had nothing to do with this?
I mean, at the point, well, once we got arrested and they said we was arrested for murder, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm like, I need to talk to my lawyer. So then, you know what I'm saying, lawyer advised me, it's like, you know, there's no reason for us to talk to them. Like, for what reason? Like, you know, you didn't do nothing. There's no reason to make a statement of what? For they could try to twist us up and do all that. So we never made a statement. And then, you know, we seen that Cruz made 5 different statements. Corbin made like 4. I think Carissa made like 2 or 3. I think Dom made like 4. Like every one of them was just, as the discovery was coming in, they was making more statements to sound more believable with the discovery that was coming in. And then you realize that Dom keeps twisting his story up. And Dom had a story at the end where he went there. I guess he broke down to the pastor up in the jail and stuff, and it was like, man, he's like, I'm not agreeing what's going on with this right now. Like, you know, Corbin and them told me to say it was them who did this. And he told the pastor that, and the pastor's like, you know what I'm saying, you just need to go down there, you need to tell the truth. So he goes down there to try to talk to the detective. He goes in there to tell the detective, he's like, yeah, man, he's like, yeah, I talked to, you know, the pastor, all that stuff. And he's like, you know, like right now, he's like, and Brent and Mr. Walker had nothing to do with this. This is what Corbin and Cruz was telling me to do. The detective was like, whoa, I'm gonna stop you right there. And he's like, you're not gonna do this. He's like, if this is what you're doing and stuff, he's like, you're getting no plea deal. And like Dom said, he's like, I don't care about the plea deal. He's like, he pretty much said, you know, he don't want this on his conscience. So he's like, I don't care about the plea deal and none of that stuff. I'm just trying to tell y'all the truth right now. He's talking about, no, he's like, take him back to the county. They entered their interview. This is in the discovery. You looked through it probably and seen it. I may not be word by word, but pretty much along the line.
Yeah, I mean, I did see that police report. Do you believe the police were after you specifically? I asked Brent this question, and he said, I'm guessing they're after Chuck.
I would say that since it happened in my area, they was just like, well, let's grab Mr. Walker up and see where it goes or something like that. Or because my name never came up until after I got arrested. I got arrested on January. There was never a mention of my name until March. Once y'all arrested me in January for no reason, with no evidence, no nothing, no anything pointing towards me. They keep trying to say that the Crime Watcher had a tip from Crime Watcher. You went through every Crime Watcher thing. I went through every Crime Watcher. My lawyer went through every Crime Watcher. There's not one Crime Watcher talking about anything with me. They're talking about Cruz's friend, I can't remember what his name is, who has a black Chevy. And like they say his name specifically, give his whole name in the thing. And this is what I think this is where they're trying to implicate, oh, well, this is the black Chevy. I'm like, no, like they give the name exactly who it is. And the detectives never even want to even question this person who's in this.
Now I watched many of the interviews with these guys, and a couple guys said, hey, we're scared of Chuck. And the detective said something like, yeah, I hear he's known as White Chucky. And I mean, why were people scared of you?
I have no reason why complete strangers could be scared of me in any type of way. The only thing I could think of is because of the prior case that I had back in 2015, where they arrested me for another double homicide that I had nothing to do with. They knew I had nothing to do with it. They dismissed the whole entire case. They thought I had information on that case, and they was only trying to talk to me, and I just didn't talk to them. I ended up, you know what I'm saying, going on the run. I was young. I was listening to people who was telling me the wrong advice, talking about going around until you figure this out. And the only way to figure that out was coming back and figuring it out.
So people told you to, you know, get the hell out of here.
Yeah, they're talking about, looking for you right now, stuff like that. Like, I'm just like, man, I'm like, this stuff is crazy. I'm like, I don't even know what they're even trying to implicate me into this for. And stuff talking about it because you know them, they thinking you have something to do with it. I'm like, nah. And then, you know, once I came back, I had no information for them and stuff because they was trying to implicate other people into it, and they was trying to get me to cooperate with their story, and it just never. I had no information for them. I can't cooperate with something that I don't know. Then they end up just dismissing the whole case because I was never supposed to be charged with murder in the first place on that case. They just put the murder warrant out there. It's like, oh, dangle this over your head and help us with the investigation, and we'll give you a lesser charge.
Yeah, I mean, this case, I mean, you can see why people would look at this. You're in the news, you're all over the news. You fled to Phoenix, and in this case, 2 19-year-old kids were assassinated. Now we have another case that your name's mentioned with, and 2 teenagers, again, are killed. And I'm sure people are like, what are the odds of that? And did you have anything to do with the 2015 case?
I had nothing to do with that. From the beginning, I never had nothing to do with it. The detectives knew I had nothing to do with it, but they felt I just had the information to help them solve that case, but I didn't have no information for them. You know, they dismissed the whole entire case.
But you can see when you're looking at Camardian and KyShawn why, you know, you hate to think this, but you could see why the police might have been like, hey, we're going to get him this time.
I could see it. Like, yes, I can see how they had some type of vendetta towards me because I want to help them with that case. And then, you know, like, I feel like this case was completely falling apart for them, and they went along the lines of just pretty much just like not allowing any evidence in the court, not putting my camera footage in there, pretty much just not even allowing me proper counsel to the extent of everything they was doing. The judge was biased, like the prosecutions was all biased towards the whole entire case. Like every single thing the prosecution asked for, the judge jumped us straight on it. It was just like, yes, you can have that. We asked for 1,000 things, she denied every one of them. Like it was just like, we couldn't win. We couldn't win in that situation. It's like at the beginning, our lawyer was like, man, it's just like, we're trying as much as we can to get this in. They refused the stuff with Dom's text of, you know, you just left me over here where these 2 people was just killed. Like, you filed for that. Then this girl's texting him back, talking about something. I don't remember exactly what she said and stuff, but, you know, so he's like, I'll be over there to get you when I can. It's like, now you got me involved in all this. Then I guess this girl was talking about telling on him and his whole family, and I guess him and his whole family got together before they was even picked up by the cops and said, oh, we're all gonna get together and come up with a story for if we do get picked up by the cops, we're all on the same page. But that whole story, none of that story had anything. My name was never implicated in any of that stuff. Brent's name was never implicated in their coming up with the thing. It was a story that they came up with, and they just literally said, like, yeah, you know, if it comes down to it, we're just gonna tell them Cruz did it.
Yeah.
That's what it seems like. Then Cruz came across the line. I more believe Cruz was trying to just set up Brent at first, and then, you know, since me being right there and stuff, and it's just like, well, you know, we can get Brent and we can get Mr. Walker too at the same time. I don't think I was truthfully targeted at first by Cruz because the relationship me and Cruz had was not, you know, we didn't have a serious relationship. I think he was more targeting Brent on the thing, and I got dragged in because I was on that block, and because of my prior case and, you know, probably the city of Toledo really not liking me too much.
Yeah, and let's talk before the trial. There was an allegation by the police, again, that you had passed a note to Cruz Garcia in the Lucas County Jail. Came from the 5th floor where you were with this guy, Day. Apparently he was right near you. The note said, hey, you better stop working with prosecutors, you better take back what you said, you better fire your attorneys. And they believed you sent Cruz a note.
Yeah, how I could even get a Cruz was on the 3rd floor. I was on the 5th floor. I never left the 5th floor. Like, the person he was saying Day, I don't even have a clue who that is. I seen a picture of him. I don't ever remember even being in my unit. And then you can't, if you know the county, you can't get something to the 3rd floor rec. How did I get anything? Then they did a a handwriting analysis on me, and they clearly said like this was not him at all who wrote this letter, you know, but they didn't do a handwriting analysis on anybody else. Why didn't y'all do one on Cruz? Because I feel like Cruz wrote that letter, because, you know, Cruz was down in the county telling people like, hey, if you can go make these statements and stuff, I'll pay y'all. There's two people who went and made statements for him, Jacob Brown and Jeffrey Deitch. They both went down there, made statements on Cruz's behalf on pretty much what Cruz was saying, talking about, oh yeah, you know, I was in a unit with him, and like then Jacobs came in and said, hey, Cruz is over there trying to pay whoever to come down here, and you know what I'm saying, just, you know, help with this case. And the detective told him, he told Jacob, he was like, yeah, he's like, well, you know what, like, tell Cruz, like right now he's ruining a golden opportunity he got. He's doing all this stupid stuff, and he keeps trying to send y'all over here to make statements on his behalf. He needs to stop doing this. And this is in the I mean, you probably watched that one too, and like, it's so.
So Charles, even if you had absolutely nothing to do with Kamari and KyShawn, I could still see personally where you'd want this guy to shut up because you're saying things that have nothing to do with me, and you're gonna make me look like I did it. So I can see where you would say, knock it off, or else I'm gonna fuck you up, sort of thing. But you're saying you never threatened Cruz.
Never threatened him. Like, I wouldn't even see the benefit of sending him a letter. Like, every single thing recorded in that county we got so many cameras in there. Not only is it impossible for me to get something to the 3rd floor when I'm on 5 West, like I got 5 people back there, like we don't go to rec with y'all. Like, how did I ever get something to a rec down to you? Like, that don't even make sense. Like,
And you obviously touched on this, but do you believe you got a fair trial?
oh no.
What's your biggest issue with it?
I mean, as far as the jury all the jury members said they knew the prosecution, like a whole bunch of them said they knew the prosecution, they knew the detective, they knew the judge. Like, it's in the transcripts and stuff where the judge was having a conversation with one of her high school buddies and stuff, and he was one of the people who was on our jury. And as far as like the other people, they knew all the people who was coming to testify, and like we was only allowed to get rid of a certain amount of juries. Like, it's like we needed to get rid of 20 people, but we was only allowed to get rid of 8. It was like, I feel like they rigged the whole jury from the beginning. Like, and then they didn't allow any of the evidence in that mattered. It's like they picked whatever evidence that they felt was gonna convict us. All the other evidence, the judge just, oh yep, I'm not gonna allow that. That's just hearsay. What is hearsay about a text message from a phone that you use multiple stuff in the trial as evidence? But the one thing y'all didn't want to use that literally shows that we couldn't have did that y'all didn't want to use it. Like, now that's hearsay. Oh, wouldn't everything else be hearsay in that phone? Like, but everything else was allowed to be used.
Right.
It's just,
So when the jury goes back to deliberate, what's going through your mind?
I mean, they was in deliberation, I think, for like 18 hours, if I want to say. Like, it's, at first, you know, the first day and stuff, when they said that they went home for the night, I was like, man, they was just in there deliberating for like, I think like 12 hours the first night, maybe a little longer, a little shorter than that. Then they came back the next day, and I think it was, I want to say it was around like 4 or 5 o'clock and stuff, where they said like they made the verdict and stuff. And like, truthfully, at first, I was like, man, they was back there so long, I believe it's just gonna be a mistrial. It's just like, because nothing makes sense, and you know, like, I'm pretty sure there's 1 or 2 people who just ain't budging and stuff like that. It's just like, none of it makes sense. And then when they came back with them verdicts and stuff, like the first verdict was not guilty, and then the rest of them was guilty. Like, when they came back with the first not guilty, I just figured everything was gonna be not guilty. And then it's just like, it was guilty, guilty, guilty. I was just like, I just remember I went blank for a second. Then I remember like the cops tapping me, talking about put my hands behind my back. I was just like, man, like I sort of just zoned out in the courtroom. I couldn't believe that they just said a guilty verdict for something I had absolutely nothing to do with.
Was it really difficult for you to sit there during the trial and listen to Cruz Garcia and Corbin Gingrich tell their stories?
I mean, they told multiple lies during the trial, completely different from their statements and stuff. Like, it's like Cruz was just, he was every which way with his stuff, like none of the stuff. And then he made a statement. I think he remade a final statement the day before trial. He made a statement talking about he put bags over their heads. I'm just like, put bags over their heads. And you know, one of the ways that one of them died, as the autopsy said, was suffocation, what could be from a bag. And Cruz admits to putting bags over their head. Like, and then Corbin, he came in, and when he made his statement, he said at the statement, he's like, they asked him, it's like, oh, did you see Mr. Walker and Mr. Kohofer? He's like, nah. He's like, I'm just going off of what Cruz told me to say. Them was his exact words. Like, and so he never even seen us. He was just only going for a plea deal. That's pretty much, it was clear as day that I'm only going for a plea. I'm not going for anything else and stuff. Like, I'm not trying to spend the rest of my life in jail. This is my way out.
Yeah. Look, I mean, you've not been a choir boy your entire life. I mean, you got in trouble with police, whether it's marijuana, whether it's resisting arrest, whether it's trafficking, whether it was whatever. People can look at that. I mean, that's all public record. They can look you up. They can see. They hear White Chucky. They hear people say this about you. Why should I believe a single word you're telling me?
I mean, all my prior cases are, you know, minor drug cases, nothing of along the line of craziness like this besides the 2015 case. Like, yeah, you know, did I have a couple of drug cases? I had a burglary case back then. I got into a bar fight twice. I had disorderly conduct. Like, but other than that, that's not a thing of me running around kidnapping people, running around killing people. For what reason? Like,
is this something you're capable of?
I don't think I am. I don't think I'm capable of killing nobody. I never killed nobody in my life. But somehow these people painting me as a monster and stuff, like, they get the image off of the 2015 that they don't even understand the whole case and stuff. Like, it's been so long, I ain't really went over the case. So but if you did a special on that, you would see how crazy that case was, as far as, because like they wanted me to implicate other people into it, and I just didn't have no information for them. But
so where's your head at right now? I mean, you're in here, unless your appeals work. I mean, you're never gonna get out of here. I mean, where's your head at?
I mean, I just try to focus on the appeal. Like, I know I didn't do this. Like, I feel like all the evidence proves that I didn't do this. Like, I feel like anybody who looks at any of this stuff should just see this. Like, it don't make no sense. Like, it just doesn't add up. And like, I'm just having faith in the system as far as getting me back and giving me a fair trial and giving me a fair shot at my life. Like, you know, I'm talking about, none of this goes through. Obviously, I spend the rest of my life in jail for something I had nothing to do with. I don't think that's fair. I don't think that's justice. That's not justice for anyone. That's not justice for the family. That's not justice for my family. Like, you know, if, like, the people who did this are clearly admitted to doing this. And so, like, at this point, just let me get my fair trial and present all the evidence, all the stuff that proves everything. Ask these detectives why they ain't put my cameras in the footage, why they did all this, why they ain't do why didn't y'all do your job?
So you've seen all the evidence in this case and seen all the videos and all that. What do you think happened?
As far as what happened, it seems like something happened over at Corbin's house, as far as KP taking guns from him and I'm guessing some drugs from him. And I guess Corbin wasn't too happy about that. And, you know, it seems like he got his nephews and everybody involved, and they lured them over to the house. And once they got over there, I guess they said that KyShawn pulled a gun, I believe. He pulled a gun out on them, and they had to wrestle the gun away from him and fight him and get him down. And I guess they was both fighting. They was fighting them to get the gun away from them. They got the gun away from them. tied them up. Cruz gets over there. Cruz is extremely upset about what they did to his mom's house and all that. And I feel like Cruz took it to a whole nother level, because that's what it seems like Corbin and them says. When Cruz got there, it got bad. I guess when Cruz got there, got the pistol whipping them, and obviously, I feel like they all died over there at that house. And then they panicked and they came up with the ideal of we'll toss them over here, over on Chase Street. Like, I know the area over there. I know there's a house over there. Like, I feel like, because if you watch the video, they talk about Cruz coming over to that neighborhood, and they try to say he's following me. Like, that car that drives by, it keeps on driving, it never stops. And any of the houses over there, it just does a complete drive-by. That's all you see. And like, wondering if I was coming over there, why wouldn't I stop at my house or something like that? Like, if I'm going to that area, like, so I think Cruz went over there with his friend that was in the crime watcher, and he showed him like, hey, this is the spot, this and that. Like, I believe Cruz had him in his truck. Like, I don't know, his truck was never swabbed, never nothing, never even checked for any type of evidence in his truck. Like, it seems way more convenient to carry two bodies in a truck than in a trunk of an Impala. Like,
yeah, there was also something, Cruz had testified a couple days after the kid disappeared. He went and talked to you and Bren, and you had said something like, yeah, they took it to the grave, and Brent said, don't worry about them, they're cremated. Did you ever have a conversation with Cruz? Did he ever come when you and Brent were hanging out? And
I never had no conversation about somebody being cremated and about don't worry about them and all that stuff. Cruz, I don't even know where he came up with that story. I don't know where he came up with half his stories and stuff, but cremated, and they took it to the grave stuff that he said. They took it to the grave. What did they take to the grave? They didn't take nothing from me. They didn't take nothing from Brent. What did they take? Cruz's stuff to the grave? Corbin's stuff to the grave? Like, they didn't take none of our stuff to the grave. Like, nothing was taken from us. We had no vendetta towards any of them.
Yeah. We've talked about a lot of different things. Is there anything that you think you need to clarify? And again, we're going to run this unedited. Seemed like you answered all my questions, but is there anything else you want to clarify?
As far as
cops come to your house.
Oh yes, the cops did. They came to my house, and it was they seen my cameras. Like, they acknowledged my cameras. They made a report of that I had cameras on my house.
At what point was this? Like after the kid disappeared, or after the robbery in October?
I believe this is after the kids disappeared. After the kids disappeared, I think they was doing surveillance around the whole, like they did like a 10-block sweep and stuff, and they was writing everybody's cameras down and stuff like that. Because I do remember them coming up to my camera. I had it on the camera. Like, I seen some people come to the door and stuff, and they was like, well, he got cameras here, here, here. He's like, all right, write the address down and stuff like that. We'll get back a hold of him and try to get the camera footage. And they never got back a hold of me, get the camera footage, but obviously they took the camera footage into evidence. So like, they acknowledged that I had the camera footage, not once, but twice. And so like, they never put any of that into evidence, and they knew about it the whole time. It's in the report, it's in the discovery, the whole entire thing.
Knowing the way those cameras were positioned, do you believe they would have shown the police something?
Yeah, they would have, every single thing they was trying to say, like the area, they kept saying something about a burn barrel. Like I said, like, they kept trying to say something was on fire in the backyard. I don't have a clue what they was talking about. Like, if you would have my camera footage, you can clearly see that there was no fire in my backyard, or any backyard. Like, what would I need to burn anything into a burn barrel if a whole entire house was caught on fire? Like, why? Like, that ain't never make sense to me. And then they was talking about, when they're trying to talk about the people walking up and down the street. If you watch that camera footage, I watched that camera footage in the county multiple times. You see multiple cars pull up, multiple people walking up and down the block, like multiple, just like traffic running in and out of the spot next door. Like, and they try to pin in on one incident where somebody walks by a house and tell them, oh wait, here it goes. Like, but show the rest of the incidents of about, there's 6 people walking up and down the street. There was about 12 cars that came over that night. Like, it don't seem like normal activity of having all this traffic when you're sitting there, got 2 kids kidnapped in the trunk of a car. Like that just don't even make sense. It was normal activity as it always is over there, and like nothing was out of the ordinary.
So were you in the house the night when, you know, that Chase Street house went up when someone firebombed it?
I was home.
You were home?
Yeah.
Do you remember the house going up?
I remember waking up the next day, and I remember like the cops and everybody was out to the fire trucks and stuff. Like, I heard a commotion and stuff, like, but you know, I didn't think nothing of it and stuff. Nothing was going off on my phone or nothing or anything. So, like, the next day and stuff, I think that was tearing the house down when I was getting up. I was just like, man, I'm like, they're tearing the house down? They said, yeah, the house caught on fire last night. I'm like, all right.
So even if you weren't involved in killing of the kids, you didn't firebomb that house?
Nah, I had no point to firebomb in that house. How would that benefit me in any way?
I'll just leave you. I mean, any other statement? Obviously, you're going to have this story will probably run Tuesday, and the appeal will be Thursday. I mean, you have any other statement you want to make?
Yeah.
Nicknames. You want to talk about nicknames?
The white Chuck thing.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I don't know where that cop even got white Chuck from. I ain't never been called white Chuck ever.
What was the in the letter to Cruz Garcia? They said in this letter, they called me a name that only Chuck calls me. Do you remember what that was?
I don't remember the name. I do remember that incident. I just don't remember the name. Like,
Yeah.
I have no nickname for Cruz. He was Cruz to me.
Of course, Cruz would have known that information also.
It's the only person who knows any of this information is Cruz, and the only person who knows any information about the letter is Cruz.
Yeah.
Cruz is the only person who can verify anything in this letter. Like, and he's the only person who didn't get acknowledged by the handwriting person to see if it was his handwriting. But I did, you know, and it came back that, you know, there's no way I wrote that letter.
Anything else?
Yeah, I mean,
Good.
no, I mean, just, like I said, like this whole situation, you know, it's a terrible situation. What happened to them kids and stuff? Like, I think, you know, I feel for the family, you know, like it's tragedy that they lost 2 young ones of theirs. I think what happened over there at that mommy house was terrible. I don't think it was pointless. I don't think it should have happened. It's, you know, like, I just want to let the family know, like, you know, I really didn't have nothing to do with them at all. Like, you know, I'm sorry for your loss. Like,
Yeah, because you know they obviously still clearly think that you're involved.
I hear that, and I do hear that they still think I'm involved, and I mean, I can't make somebody feel something, but I can just truly tell you I had nothing to do with them kids being killed, and I feel terrible about it. Like, it's a tragedy. Like, and this shouldn't happen to them over nothing. Something that's so pointless.
All I got.